CSS Media Queries. They are a powerful tool for creating responsive and adaptive web designs. They enable developers to apply different styles based on various device characteristics, ensuring a consistent user experience across devices. All right. Now, the basic syntax explanation. First, the media query starts with @media. Okay, so here's the syntax, followed by the condition inside parentheses. So you can consider a parenthesis as a bracket. Okay, your opening and closing brackets. Then, if the condition is true, the enclosed CSS rules are applied. So here is a perfect example. So @media, minimum screen, that's our minimum width, 768 pixels, right? And then in the declaration block, what you're seeing here is that styles for tablets and larger screens. So container width set to 80%. So in this example, styles will be applied only if the viewport's width is at least 768 pixels. That is the meaning. Because here is the condition. The condition is that the screen, the minimum width of the screen, if it is 768 pixels, right, then the element that has the class name of container should have its width set to 80%. It's as simple as that. So common media features, okay, we have the width and height, which specifies the width or height of the viewport. We have the device width and the device height, which refers to the device screen size, which may differ from the viewport. And then we also have orientation, determines if the device is in landscape or portrait mode. In most cases, you can actually change the orientation of your phone. Probably if you are playing games or you actually want to see, or maybe on YouTube sometimes, right? Sometimes if you want to view some videos, you change the orientation to a landscape mode. But I mean, in most cases, we always have our device in the portrait, right? Then the resolution, useful for applying styles based on screen density, e.g., high resolution screens. We also have the preferred color scheme. So this is where you switch the dark and light mode. So detects if the user prefers light or dark mode and allows for styling accordingly. So creating responsive designs. Media queries are essential for building responsive web designs that look good on all devices, from small mobile screens to large desktop monitors. So developers can adjust layouts, font size, colors, and other styles depending on screens. So you can define the rules based on the screen size, and then you can actually make your website look responsive. Adaptive layouts with breakpoint. So we have breakpoint. Breakpoint basically means the particular width of a device. For instance, if the width of your device, your mobile phone is, for instance, 50 pixels, right? So the breakpoint of your phone is 50 pixels. If you are creating another styles, say for devices at 700 pixels, it means that you are specifying another breakpoint. All right. So common breakpoint used in responsive design for small devices, that is mobile, the maximum width in most cases is 768 pixels. This value may not be accurate. All right. So you have to test. You have to test your designs and check your layout as well. Then anywhere your design doesn't look responsive, you can target the screen size and then write another style that will make it responsive. All right, at that breakpoint. Then for medium devices, that's tablets, right? The minimum width is usually 768 pixels, and the maximum width of 1024 pixels or 1024 pixels. And then for larger screens or larger device, we have the desktop, right? Minimum width obviously is 1024 pixels. All right, so here's another example. @media, then this is a rule, this is the condition, right? The condition is that if the maximum width is 768 or and above, right? That is what this means. Then the element with the class name of many should have display set to none. So you can also specify multiple conditions. So using multiple conditions in media queries, Media queries can combine multiple conditions with and, or not. So, for instance, you have this media and then you have the first condition, minimum width. If the minimum width is 768 pixels and the orientation is landscape, so which means if the user has changed the mode of the device from portrait to landscape, right, then you write your styles. So styles for landscape mode on tablets and wider screens because of the minimum width that you have set here to 768 pixels. All right. So testing and debugging media queries. Use browser developer tools. I'm going to show us how to do that too. So you can use the browser developer tools to simulate different screen sizes and test media queries. Also pay attention to overlapping breakpoints and ensure smooth transitions. Now, I mentioned this, right, that in most cases, the default breakpoint that we specify here, the 768, 1024, they may actually not be accurate in most cases, right? So, and that is what this point is talking about, that pay attention to overlapping breakpoints and ensure smooth transition. So you test for each breakpoint and see your layout if they still look responsive. And if you have any overlapping or breakpoints, you can actually tackle that with another media query styles. Now, best practices starts with a mobile first approach. So design for the smallest screens first, then add styles for larger screens. Don't worry, in our final project, right, I'm going to show you how to do this professionally, how you start building for mobile devices first, and then we can move or proceed to larger screens. So always start with mobile first. There are developers or designers that they do design for desktop first, and that's what we've been doing so far. So we design for large screens, all right. But professionally or in this course, right, if you want to build our final project, we are going to start with mobile device, that's mobile first approach. Also, use relative units like percentages, EM, REM for flexible layouts. We have mentioned this in the session we're talking about measurement in CSS, that we have relative units and absolute units. Absolute units are fixed units, right? But for relative, you can use this unit for responsive design. Also, limit the number of points to avoid overcomplicating the design. You also have to be very careful. As much as you want to create a responsive layout, you have to minimize the number of breakpoints you're going to use in your design. All right, so quickly, let's see what we can do with media query. So we have this document here, right? This index.html, very simple. In the body section, we have the section tag, and it has a single child element that is the P, which has this 50 character, I guess, right? 50 words rather. All right, so and then the styles, I think nothing here yet. There's nothing, and okay, so here is the output basically. Here is the output for the media query. And the first thing I would like to do is I'm going to use this section. I will give it a class. You don't necessarily have to give it a class name. I just like using classes for my element. I like using classes. So I will select that class name container, right? And then give it a background color of maybe purple. Save this. Purple, save, and then if I go here, great. So we have purple color at this point. Purple. Maybe we should change the color to white so we can see what is going on. Okay, great. Now, what I want to implement now, I would like to use media query. Remember, to use media query, you start with the @ symbol and followed by the media, and then your condition. And sometimes we specify that, okay, we want to write media for screen, right? So media and then screen. This screen here means that you're actually writing media query for screen devices, because you can actually write media query for print as well. So if a user wants to print out a website, you can print a website, right, as a document. There are different styles that you need to write, or media query that you can write for that as well. And in that case, you are not going to use screen. You will use something like print, okay, print in this way. But since you're writing for screen, we are going to specify screen and then the condition. So the condition will be inside these parentheses. So parentheses is actually this bracket, right? And the condition I actually want to write here is that if the minimum width of my device is 400 pixels, right? I would like to change. The container, okay, the background color of container to red. Great. Another one, I will write another style rule or another break. Okay, so media screen and minimum width. If the minimum width is 768 pixels, right? Then I want the container to have a background of green. Then minimum width, if we have a minimum width of 1024 pixels, right? The same element, right, should have a orange color. Save. All right, so let's keep it simple. Let's leave it this way and take a look at the output. So I'm going to refresh right now. Great. So we have orange. The color has changed actually now to orange, and it's as a result of the rule actually, because the condition we specify is that if the minimum width of our device is 1024 pixels, right, then we should have the background color set to orange. So which means that my device right now, that is my laptop, has a minimum width or more than 1000 or 200 pixels at this point. All right. So one way to do now is that I'm going to test other screen size or other breakpoints using my developer tool. Okay. So you can right click and then inspect, or you can use Control Shift I on Windows. All right. Control Shift I. You see, it has changed to green, and that's because we now have a minimum width of, okay, it should be 768 now. So 768 minimum width, right? So if I should take it lower to 400 pixels, the background color will change to red. So let's test that out. So I'm going to resize. I don't know if you can see the width at the top. So as I'm resizing, you're going to see the width. You see, at this point, the width is 782. It's 780 now. 772. So I will keep great. So you see, at 768, we still have what? Green. But the moment we enter 767, so it's no longer 768. So at this point, we have the value is lower than we have a minimum value which is lower than the 768, and that's why it has changed to red. And if you look at the condition we specify in our code, we mentioned that if the minimum width is 400 pixels, then the background should change to red. All right, minimum. So the minimum is, so any value, if the value is greater than 400 pixels, so if the screen is great or wider, if the screen is wider than 400 pixels, then it will change to green. Similarly, if the screen is wider than 768 pixels, it will change to orange. That is the point right here. And if I should take it back again, and see, at this point, obviously it's going to be red. Okay, purple now. purple now because we now have a much more smaller screen, and then we have red. If I proceed, so purple because what? Because it is smaller than 400, because the condition we have in the first breakpoint says that the minimum width should be 400. So if we have a screen that is smaller than 400, then we go back to the default, which is purple color. I think that makes sense now. So if I should take, at this point it's 400 pixels. Anything lower than this or smaller than that, we change back to purple. Then the moment it gets to 400, it's back to red. And then if I keep increasing the width, if I keep increasing the width, let's see, at 768, it will change the color. 768. Okay, so let me make it faster. So 768, and you see it has changed to green. And then if it is greater than 1024, it will change to orange. 1024 orange. So that's honestly, that's how you can create breakpoint media query, different styles for different screen in the CSS. It's quite simple right here. I mean, if you start building your or designing your website, you're going to have more code inside or different rules or different breakpoints that you will create in your design. Let's take it a little bit further. Maybe for the paragraph, I can actually create maybe an heading one. Let's say heading one. All right, heading one. So let's see this first. Let's see the output. Okay, so we have heading one, and what I want to do now is that we go back and say for heading one, minimum width, right? If the minimum width at 400 pixels for each one, I would like the font size to be 32 pixels or 38 pixels. Okay, 38 pixels. 768 font size of 52 pixels. Okay, and then a wider screen, font size of maybe 80 pixels. It's going to be very actually 80 pixels. All right, save. So let's see. So we are at a screen that is wider than 1024 pixels. So which means this should be the of our font size for each one. If I refresh the screen, so refresh. So you see we have what's it called? The font size now is 80 pixels actually at this point. And of course, if we inspect it, if we select the H1, okay, good. If I mouse over it, you see the font size is 80 pixels. And you can see it here, font size is 80 pixels, right? Then if I keep reducing, you see it has changed actually. So which means your developer too also understand media query. It has changed from 80 pixels to 52 pixels because the screen now is at what 764, or is within the range of that 764 that we specify in the condition. So we said if the minimum width is 764, right, the font size should be set or be changed to 52 pixels. And you can see it here, 52 pixels. And if we proceed, if we keep reducing the screen, resizing it by taking it down, making it smaller. Okay, look at it, has changed to 38 pixels, right? So which means we have the screen. The screen is not up to 764 anymore, so it's within the 400 condition that we specify in our code, right? So if the screen now is lesser than 400 pixels, it will actually go back to the default value, all right? The default value for H1, right? Which is the one that comes with the browser style. So these are we use media query in CSS.